And you know me, I'm a sort of a cool, hip dentist, and I like to use my smartphone. There's lots of apps out there that I could be using to incorporate into my business workflow. Could you give me some advice about what I should think about before I start using a cool new app for my business or for the professionally related aspect of my practice?
Well, I see this happening a lot. People do want to be cool, not just you, lots of other people also. I think where it becomes the biggest concern for me is when I see it used, even specifically in dentistry. I see a lot of people wanting to use these apps for treatment planning, just bringing the technology in to create a better patient experience. But the challenge that I have with a lot of it is many apps aren't built with privacy and security in mind. They're built with sort of function first. So where it's easy to want to adopt it because you can do cool things with a smile and so on. We really need to be thinking about being very careful about reading the privacy policies that they have. What does the app developer have access to? Is it compliant? Where is the data stored? Is it shared with any third parties? We know from compliance that a lot of these things are very important issues. When we incorporate any type of device, like an iPhone or an iPad or any other type of tablet, and we bring patient information into those devices now become part of our network that need to be protected. This would mean things like ensuring that encryption is on our device. And then I think there's a couple of other concerns that I might have about consent. Consent to using these types of technologies, knowing that outside third parties, parties across the world even might now have access to my data, if not at least my images, even if they're just of my mouth. And then the other challenge that I see is sort of some kludginess in how we are able to then make that part of the patient's health record. How do we get this data from this device now into their records? So I've seen some challenges with that as well. Those would be the four main silos that I would need to see people making sure that they're at least contemplating before they're adopting any app for being used in the healthcare profession.
And besides being hip and cool and funky, I'm as lazy as hell. And when I see all those, big long documents about privacy policy and terms and conditions, my eyes glaze over. And I bet you I'm not the only one. What should I be really looking out for in a document like that?
I talked about this with one of my lawyers at one point, and he said, these things are specifically designed to give you the type of fatigue that they want you to have, right? And just go, oh, what the heck, how bad can it be? Oh, just click yes. My buddy's using this, it must be fine. Surely he's read everything. But yeah, they're very long. They're written in language that's really difficult to understand. I think the main thing we're going to be looking for is, are we, by downloading this app and using it, are we giving the app access to our other contacts in our phone? Where does this, or our tablet, where does this information live? It needs to reside somewhere. The cloud is just somebody else's computer. So where is it landing? Like, where is that computer? Is that company adhering to standards for HIPAA or PIPEDA or PHIPAA or GDPR? What standards are they adhering to? And then the other piece being, the actual our actual device itself. How are we able to protect that?
Right. Have you any resource to point me to just that would help me just work my way through that maze of confusing text and information?
Yeah, as far as understanding each company's unique privacy policy, no. One of the best ways that I've been able to find some of it really is putting in the name of the app and then putting, is it HIPAA compliant, HIPAA, which of course is a US standard for privacy and security, but that gives us a pretty good benchmark. And you sometimes find comments there. They sometimes are on page 2 or 3. but of people like myself that have actually picked them apart and given you the reasons why they're not compliant. I do see people turning a blind eye because, as we know, John, we've talked about how, not privacy compliant smart speakers are in the past, you and I, right? Most technology is designed to provide function first, and sadly, privacy and security is an afterthought, if it's even there at all. Also, our devices come inherently wide open, and then we're supposed to shut the doors after the fact, which has always been another one of my beefs. But really, I think what we want to always be looking for is, can we start with a really closed box and then just open the pieces that we need? I've not seen this as a function in any apps or any devices to date. So it's our job to do our homework and make sure that somehow we don't end up being a victim of, a malware on our phone that then exposes PHI.
And thank you very much for this information and for being such a great friend. Remember, it was you and me talked about ransomware first, those years ago.
It was a long time ago.
Really appreciate your willingness to share your information.
Always good to help.